rest of Team Rise are not careful enough and they get caught up on a choke point, it could be pretty lethal.
Yeah, we have seen some lethal combinations of Unite moves. Blastoise plus Espeon is almost kind of the guaranteed team KO in favor of your squad. In this case, we saw, I believe, an Urshifu or Eeyore going for the Urshifu. You have that full heal, and then you look at the composition of Marcos Gaming. You have that Wigglytuff. You have a couple of utility to really disrupt the course of Team Rise, but that full heal is going to allow Eeyore to really continue to cut through that front line and give them just a lot more breathing space. We just have to see how this early game plays out, because I really want to see how Team Rise kind of approach this draft that we don't normally get to see much from them. And at the same time, when you have a Hoopa and you get to utilize that mobility across the map, that's something that Marcos Gaming needs to also contend with when you're running two attackers that needs to always be alert and be aware to deal damage when needed.
Yeah, and there's definitely a whole lot of pressure on this Hoopa on how certain moments need to be played out by Zoe, so long as you have that Rings of Balance to be channeled right into some of these team fights, and also to be able to open gateways and windows for you to come in for a reset to keep some of all these carries alive for Team Rise, then it should be looking pretty smooth for them. Though early on, we already see Neko dunking some points in between. Kurum couldn't be able to stop him just in the nick of time, but the battles over the bottom side have left this Jigglypuff pretty low.
And you can see kind of the power of this trap, and the Necro is going to hit that 5, get that Wood Hammer. This is that sudden spike in power that Team Rise is looking for. Suddenly you have massive crowd control, incredible damage, and you have a crowd control that becomes more lethal the lower the enemy health are. So Eeyore is going to show up. Snowy might be the target, isolated from the rest of the team with Necro on his tail. That's the Wood Hammer coming down. First KO for Team Rise.
Beautifully executed from Eeyore, where they've managed to find that angle, and now getting that upper hand, getting a little bit more of that experience points definitely helped them snowball up ahead, and Eeyore still on the chase, looking for Meruem.
Right into the jungle. Meruem has no way out, doesn't even find any options. And Rex also forced to kind of abandon ship. Rise is making all these fast moves, and Marcos Gaming, looking with this composition, does need time. So these early skirmishes are going to favor Team Rise most of the time. And another problem I'm looking at is Marcos Gaming, they don't really have much crowd control, and now you have to deal with a Trevenant that doesn't really care about crowd controls.
True enough, I mean, he also offers a bunch of it himself, whereas this is kind of like a brick wall where Snowy would be able to actually last out some of all the damages coming out from the Trevenant for the time being. But look at Eeyore, the rest of Team Rise, they're looking to hop on board.
Looking to get a couple more points in. Snowy first to get knocked down, sent to the Pokemon Center, and Rise gets a huge cash out. Eeyore is going to overdunk this as well. First goal on the top lane, completely demolished. And I also want to quickly bring out how we saw Trevenant played by Supercell just now, running that Wood Hammer Pain Split. Normally you see Wood Hammer Horn Leaf, but that Pain Split I think is very situational, because Rise had that Venusaur damage over time into Pain Split. Trevenant happily takes it, but against Marcos Gaming, I think we would kind of see the standard Horn Leaf with higher possibility.
Yeah, indeed, and overall you could also see how much he could basically soak and negate some of all these hindrances that Marcos Gaming could basically throw on the table when it comes down to these team fights. So we get one Reggie Rock right down the bottom, and this is where Marcos Gaming need to decide if they can contest.
And you see that Hoopa portal already out, and Rise is just unstoppable. Rex completely pushed away, and Eeyore is putting on the pressure. Those knockouts are going to slowly come through while Team Rise secures the Reggie. Rise is just going to zone Marcos Gaming away from this goal zone and again cash in that 40 points.
Yeah, I gotta say this is a pretty clean run in the first half of this matchup for Team Rise. They're just having such a great rotation across the map, and it's really due to the hindsight that Eeyore has. And now they're already moving on to Lecky. Doesn't seem like there's going to be much challenge coming in from the rest of Marcos Gaming, as they will have to give this one away.
Hoopa Portal really paying off those cross-map rotations, and especially when you take out both the first goal zone 6 minutes in, you really get a lot of space for yourself, and you're taking away resources for Marcos Gaming, who desperately needs it for the Delphox and the Espeon. Now Rise looking to crash that Reggie Ilaki onto the second goal zone. Blastoise Unite move coming out only onto Eeyore. Not that it's doing much though, the KO slowly trickling in as Team Rise consistently just putting up the damage. Marcos Gaming could not stand 3 KOs and Rise gets the crash.
Just beautiful execution overall coming from Team Rise where they time it perfectly. So, and you just look at his Blastoise where he's not even able to soak in all that damage. He just gets focused down so early before he could even channel a perfect run with the Unite. Just clipping onto ER, it didn't really result too much, where Marcos Gaming did not have any time to actually respond to begin with. Now, with a little bit of deficit, I'm looking at Marcos Gaming hoping to prepare for that late game flip on that Rayquaza. And now they're just hurtling in with only 2 more zones left, and Zoe is just causing havoc.
Yeah, Zoe threw the entirety of Marcos Gaming, and he is running circles around our inner region representatives. See, Team Rise almost 300 points, just 1 point away from that complete map control. The top lane goal zone is already gone, and Zoe is just having fun, even dunking in front of that base. Marcos Gaming, they need time and resources, and they're not given that. And that is a big problem. Areston only level 10, Delphox hitting 11, but they are not at the spike just yet. You're now finding that engaged. Necro in the middle, and Illuma also shows up. The Delphox getting a KO. Marcos Gaming group up, and they find 3.
And instead, they're actually moving all the way into that base. They're just scoring upon each other. But Marcos Gaming finally takes down one of the goal zones over a bottom lane and finds an access into Registeel. A little bit of overconfidence coming from Team Rise as well, and now they get punished for it. And the Registeel will belong to Marcos Gaming.
Shortening that gap a bit. Rise did cheekily had that Hoopa unbound, so we saw a couple more scores in front of Marcos Gaming's base, but Team Rise now they head towards the Regieleki for the 2nd time this match. Marcos Gaming will be more prepared. The Delphox surely will be moving up in a bit. See how Marcos Gaming deals with this though. They are setting up, starting off with that Blastoise, moving in to provide that hindrance. Unite move used just to zone away, and they do secure the Regieleki, but the Traveler Unite move is there. They try to put everyone to sleep. Marcos Gaming, can you survive all these monstrous damage output? It seems like that won't be the case. Rex going for the cash in before he eventually falls, and Team Rise just able to stifle the impact of Marcos Gaming.
And they just had that great plan to come in with the wraparound. They say, you know what, you can have the Eleki, you've already committed this Blastoise Unite, and therefore they just basically take what's given. So Marcos Gaming, they could only basically put themselves forward and at least score a few more points. 1 minute before we get ourselves that battle at Rayquaza, and by then they should still have most of their Unites available. And it's really boiling down on how Marin can control the pace, try to find those opening picks, and eventually wither them down. Kirin, though, getting spotted out by Execute.
Execute's completely fine. The experience from Team Rise is definitely showing through against Marcos Gaming. And I think coming into this series, you can argue that Team Rise is the favorite, but we are also looking at Marcos Gaming to kind of put a dent in that armor. How much can you accomplish? How much uniqueness does the region have? And no, it's unfair for us to say that we're overlooking where Marcos Gaming's roots are from, but so far this has been pretty impressive despite them being on the back foot.
True enough, now trying to secure a little bit more grounds overall. Marcos Gaming is pretty much prepared. Hydro Typhoon is available at the moment. Meanwhile, Eeyore is finding his way out for a 50-pointer
that's 100
with this 2-minute mark, and that will basically deplete that, but he's not in a fight.
They're gonna try and flip this. Marcos Gaming, can you secure it? And it seems like, yes, Marcos Gaming finding that signs of life, but now they gotta go for the cash-in. Team Rise, they're doing the same. There's 3 KOs in favor of Team Rise. Marcos Gaming, they get the points in, but Team Rise are paying it back twofold. Zoe leading the charge with those Koopa, and Marcos Gaming, they can't return to base in time. And despite all of that commitment, Team Rise still have that big lead.
Yeah, it's all piling up, and that's also thanks to their proactive movements from the early game all the way to the back. And finally, they knock out the Delphox, and Rise is still piling up with the pressure, and now that you have this Hoopa, it makes it so much easier for them to defend as well. And Marcos Gaming, they don't really have much time, 1 minute on the clock, and they need to gather 300 points. Well, Team Rise definitely got this one back already.
And the 2 members of Marcos Gaming who are trying to make advances, they're trying to scout out information. Unfortunately, no points on them. Those who are holding on to value, even in total, I do not think that it's going to be enough to overtake Team Rise, even if both the Espeon and the Blastoise scores this, let alone having Team Rise defending all of these goalposts. But Marcos Gaming, you gotta try something. Volk is going to be the first one to show his space. You get rid of the Necro Pain Split. Snowy also now joins. They need that Unite move though. It is all or nothing. Marcos Gaming piling in to the base, but Urshifu Eeyore shows up, gets the KO on the Espeon, and Team Rise stamp their foot down. They plant their roots and say game number 1 is all and true but over. Team Rise stands strong.
And Team Rise, they are just so good in handling all these team fights and still have so many leeway coming from all these side lanes to be able to keep these scores up throughout the course of the run. Beautiful display coming out of Southeast Asia, and they will find their very first win here in the Asia Champions League.
No rest for the wicked. Team Rise putting 1 on the board in the potential last stand of a best of 3. And again, this is their second and last series for the day. So you get that dub against Marcos Gaming. Give yourself a bit of that morale